for this fiscal year on top of what we were already looking at. As we move into 2008-09, then these are all of the commitments that carry over into this next year. And they're ones that we're already in the middle of, we have to continue. So obviously debts and liabilities schedules. The Ukiah Valley Area Plan and General Plan, all of these are things that we will carry forward absent direction otherwise. We've already talked about several of these. We've already talked about compensation plan commitments and debts and liabilities, so I'm going to cover some of the other ones here pretty quickly. In terms of
I got a question. You the second one, the UVAP and the
yeah.
Now that is supposed to be wrapped up here. In the 2007-08 budget.
Oh, not in the 2007-08 budget, no. The 50-acre.
That's right. Okay, it's going to go into the 809. Okay.
Right. The 50-acre rezone project is almost complete. There are several other properties that will be included in UVAP, but other than that, the rest of the properties that was completed by the end of 2007 calendar year. In this past year, they've continued the Ukiah Valley Area Plan, and the projection is that it will be completed by the end of 2008. That's on your work plan, the scheduling for those hearings, and we continue to be on schedule based on that work plan. The general plan update is also to be completed by the end of 2008. We're working on the inclusionary housing ordinance that would be presented in the next couple of months, and that's one of the last kind of big issues that relates to the housing element. And then we're beginning data collection for the Mendocino town plan. So those are the activities of the planning team.
To the chair, those are issues that we're working on now.
Yes.
Not waiting for the 08-09 budget.
Correct. Yeah, we're working on them now, but they will continue into 2008, 2009. About the time that we complete the UVAP and the general plan update, we will need to start working on the next housing element, because the housing element is a 5-year project, and so that starts repeating itself. And then there are the implementation activities that go from UVAP and general plan. A lot of the funding for the planning team, in fact, comes from the general plan update fees, not from the county's general fund.
Supervisor.
But budget-wise, in my vision or my opinion, after those issues that you have addressed up there are completed in 2008, these remaining elements and whatnot should revert back to our building and planning services, and we shouldn't need to maintain a special budget unit, a planning team budget unit.
Whether or not you maintain a budget unit, you will want to maintain a specific team, whether it's within the planning and building department, which it was always intended at some point to return to that. But you need to maintain a team that does advanced planning, because what happened before is the people who were tasked with that never got to do it because they were pulled off for current planning projects.
But that's my point. I still feel that should reside in the building and planning budget. We don't need a separate budget unit. In my opinion, this whole general plan update should have been done by our building and planning department. We should never had to form a planning team in the first place and spent millions of dollars. But
okay,
I would
first
hope
of all, we haven't spent millions of dollars, and
well, there has if you add it up since in the last, our general plan update should have been done in the year 2008. We're going on 8 years behind on it. But the point of it is, I don't think we need to maintain a large general fund cost planning team department. I think those functions, after we get the UVAP and the general plan done, should fall back into the parameters of our building and planning department and handle it within their budget.
Definitely from a coordination standpoint and a structural standpoint, that is the goal. Again, the planning team is not a huge general fund expense because it is using the same funds that planning and building would have used for these activities, which are the general plan update fees that are in a separate trust account. And the reason the planning team was formed was because those activities of updating the general plan and UVAP weren't occurring. So The good news is they're occurring now, and we've got the end in sight, and we're moving forward on it. But that is something that carries through to the 2008, 2009 with those projected end dates. Yeah.
Allison, this slide and the previous slide, there's one item missing out of previous priorities, and although it's my intention to see it continue, it's not a dollar commitment towards EMS and fire, but moving into the study of the long-range improvement of those. How is that factored into this work plan? I don't see it listed here.
Yeah. Since this is focusing on the budget, at this point in time, what's here, and that's something that you as a board might want to discuss, the EMS and fire district funding is not listed as a continuing priority. From the standpoint of spending staff time on studying and working with them, et cetera, there's no reason why that can't happen, and the work plan that the board adopted does project an April, I think, 21st work session to look at what the options are for EMS and fire district and what staff work might be applied to that. One of the reasons for scheduling that in April was so that it took place before the development of the proposed budget. So if as a board you want to give other direction, you certainly can.
So there is time allotted into the future to address it as a work priority, not
Yes.
just a budget. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the criminal justice plan here. The, actually this is talking about the board set 3 priorities, 3 objectives in 2005. One was to develop the Justice Facilities Master Plan. That has been completed. One was to implement pretrial services. They have been implemented. And the other was to address jail repair and remodeling, and that is being wrapped up in this current fiscal year. So the feasibility study for the justice facilities should be completed by June of 2008, and as the jail repair and remodeling will also be completed by then. Mill Creek Dams, you're going to hear more about that tomorrow. As you know, we transferred the responsibility for kind of leadership in this regard to the Water Agency in June of 2006. The expenditures to date are well over $900,000. The EIR is near certification, very near. And I think you've gotten some of the estimates that Roland has come up with for future expenditures in this. Doesn't appear to be a huge expenditure during the 2008-2009 budget year. According to the debts and liabilities, it was around $160,000 was the figure we were given. But certainly in the future years, all of this will add up. Then we've got water projects and road projects, and those are both priority areas for the board that we're assuming will carry forward. And then also the finance system and the microwave system. Finance system implementation should be completed by the end of 2008, 2009, and at this point I'd say we're kind of shifting from technical considerations to the staffing considerations that go along with doing that implementation. The microwave system implementation should be completed in 2008 with obviously future upgrades into that. So this is where we move on to county budget priorities, new ones.
Before,
Yes.
Well, just a comment, as far as we put in $150,000 last year into water priorities, which was this budget allocation. I don't foresee, because we do have gonna have a considerable carryover in the water agency budget projection, I don't foresee that needing to have a additional, maybe
Okay.
something will come up